I never meant to chase ghosts. But when the gallery of my childhood photographs vanished in a single crash, files corrupted beyond recognition, I felt something hollow open inside me. The moment the AI interface blinked to life on my screen, its sterile glow humming against the damp chill of my apartment, I knew I was offering more than memories. Reconstruct from description, I typed, fingers trembling as I described the house with peeling wallpaper, the crooked porch swing, and the scent of wet grass after rain. As the progress bar inched forward, I pressed my palm against the worn wood of my desk, feeling each grain tremble beneath my hand, as if it too feared what was coming. When the first image appeared, it was beautiful. My mother's smile, perfect and luminous, framed by strands of dark hair I barely remembered. But the edges of her face flickered like static, and I caught a faint odor of ozone, sharp and metallic, curling through my nostrils. I leaned closer, my heart drummed against my ribs, a hollow, urgent percussion, and I realized the air had grown impossibly cold, every breath crystallizing on my tongue. Behind me, the old floorboards groaned with a weight that wasn't mine, and I saw, just for a heartbeat, the reflection of something standing in the doorway of the digital portrait. A child whose eyes were too dark, too deep, a child I had never known. Before I could swivel in my chair, the image shifted, transforming into a photo of me at 5 years old, perched atop that same porch swing. But my expression was wrong. The kid in the portrait wore a serene, almost beatific smile, as if she harbored no fear of the night that would come. My own smile had always been lopsided, hesitant. A pang of something like sorrow knotted my chest. Then the interface flickered again, and the reconstructed photos wiped clean, replaced by a single prompt. Describe what you cannot remember. My pulse throbbed in my temples. I hesitated, sensing that to answer would be to open a door behind which I might disappear entirely. Outside, the wind skittered across broken panes, and for a moment I doubted where I was. My room or somewhere else, somewhere darker. Yet curiosity burned brighter than caution. I began to type. I hesitated only a moment before my fingers flew across the keys. I stand in a narrow hallway framed by walls of damp stone, the air heavy with the scent of moss and stale earth. Above me, a single rusted lamp flickers, its bulb buzzing like a dying insect. There's a whisper of movement at the edge of my vision. A child's laugh, distant and hollow. As soon as I hit enter, the interface blurred, and a new image slid into view. A tunnel carved into rock, slick with moisture, its walls lined with shallow indentations like crude handprints. A cold draft snaked around my ankles, and I felt the hairs on my neck bristle, as though unseen eyes pressed against my skin. The AI's prompt changed again. Describe the echo that follows. My throat tightened. I closed my eyes, recalling the hollow resonance that haunted every corridor of my fragmented past. The echo of my sister's cry just before the floor gave way. The memory surfaced with brutal clarity. Splintering wood, the metallic tang of bloodless fear, and her tiny hand slipping from mine. I typed, voice trembling in my mind. A single elongated sob that starts high and reverberates until it's indistinguishable from the walls themselves. The screen flickered, replaced by a warped photograph of a little girl in a white dress, half hidden in shadow. Her face blurred, but unmistakably hers. My heart froze and the lamp overhead sputtered before plunging the room into darkness. My laptop's glow was the only light, and in its reflection I saw that behind me, standing just outside the screen's edge, was the silhouette of a child clutching something, an old, cracked portrait frame. I wanted to turn, to run, but my spine felt locked in place. The AI's message scrawled itself across the image. Tell me who she is. My breath caught in my lungs. This was the point of no return. If I named her, I would open the door to everything I had buried. Yet I knew I had no choice. I pressed enter with a trembling thumb and watched the words appear on the screen. She is my sister, Anna. The instant I named her, the lamp overhead flickered and died, plunging the room into a hollow darkness pierced only by the laptop's pale glow. My breath came out in ragged puffs, each exhalation misting in the sudden chill, and I heard the floorboards sigh as though bowing under an unseen weight. Then the image shifted. Anna stood at the edge of a fractured mirror, her reflection warped, eyes hollow wells that seemed to swallow the light. I felt a low vibration underfoot, like a heartbeat from the walls themselves, and the air tasted of damp clay and rust. A new prompt scrolled into view. Tell me what she wants. My heart hammered as I realized this was no longer a reconstruction. It was a conversation. I hesitated, fingers hovering above the keys, caught between fear and the need for answers. Behind me, something brushed against the back of my chair. I swallowed, the metallic tang of anxiety flickering on my tongue, and typed the first thought that came. She wants me to remember. The screen shuddered, pixels fracturing, and then reformed into a photograph of my childhood bedroom. Only it was wrong. The wallpaper was a deeper crimson, the bed frame twisted, and lying atop the mattress was Anna's porcelain doll, its painted eyes cracked and leaking dark veins. I couldn't tear my gaze away. Every nerve ending in my body seemed alight, the air around me humming with something ancient and unnamed. The AI prompt glowed anew. Open the frame. My pulse lodged in my throat, and I understood what it meant. It wasn't just the image frame on the screen, but the boundaries of my own memory. To open it would be to unleash everything I had buried. The echo of her scream, the splintering wood, the weight of her tiny hand slipping from mine into darkness. Yet a desperate ache pulsed in my chest, urging me on. My fingers found the keys before I could second-guess myself. I typed 3 simple words. I open it. The screen went black, and in that suffocating void, I felt her presence step out of the frame and into the room with me. The laptop's glow pulsed as if synchronized with my racing heartbeat, and I realized the presence wasn't confined to the screen anymore. A soft scrape, like a fingernail drawn across glass, echoed from behind me. My breath caught. The stale scent of damp earth deepened, mingling with the acrid tang of ozone so sharp it stung my nostrils. I forced myself to stand, every movement heavy as if wading through water, and turned. The room was empty, yet the air vibrated with her sorrowful energy. I stumbled toward the window, yanking aside the threadbare curtain. Outside, the city lights lay distant and indifferent, but the reflection showed her, Anna, standing just inches from my shoulder. Her eyes, dark and hollow, brimmed with a longing that twisted my gut. I pressed my hand against the glass. It felt impossibly cold, like the touch of ice beneath my palm. When I looked back, she was gone. The AI interface blinked back to life, words scrolling, "Find the original." My chest tightened. I understood. To free her, I had to recover what I lost. My corrupted archives, the broken files, it was all connected. I moved to the desk, hands trembling, and reopened the folder labeled Family. Every file name stared at me like gravestones. My fingertips hovered over the first corrupted file. Anna_1987.jpg. The air grew still, oppressive, and I heard the floorboards groan again, as though warning me. I double-clicked. The screen fractured into static, then resolved into a hidden folder I had never seen. Inside were dozens of images, snapshots of moments I never remembered. Anna's birth, her first steps, the day she died. My vision blurred. A low hum thrummed through the walls. The final file glowed. Truth.jpg. I hesitated. The stakes had never been higher. With one deliberate click, I opened it and felt a whisper brush my ear. "You're next." The image unfolded with a slow, spectral clarity. A family portrait taken in a sunlit garden. My parents smiling proudly as they held Anna by the hand. Yet her face was blurred, like a faint wick of smoke. My chest clenched as a suffocating warmth seeped through the chair, and I heard her voice, soft as moth wings, whisper, "Finish it." The AI prompt glowed, "Restore her fully." My fingers hovered. Every instinct screamed to shut the laptop, to flee the room and the impossible guilt that coiled in my gut. But the memory of her absence, the hollow ache I had carried for decades, drove me onward. I typed, voice caught in my mind, "I restore her name." The screen pulsed, and suddenly the blurred face sharpened into Anna's wide, curious eyes. Then another prompt, "Restore her life." My breath hitched. The weight on the floorboards grew heavier, as though the very wood awaited my choice. Outside, the wind collided with the window pane in a hollow rap, echoing like a distant heartbeat. I swallowed, tasting rust and ozone on my tongue, and wrote, "I restore her life." The room trembled. The lamp flickered, casting quivering shadows that danced like specters around me. The laptop glowed white, blinding, and I felt a rush of air, colder than the grave, sweep past my ear. For a single heartbeat, everything was silent. No hum of the city, no hiss of the radiator. Only the hiss of my own blood pounding in my ears. Then the portrait shifted. Anna stood beside me, alive, her hand reaching out until her fingertips brushed my cheek. I gasped at the tender warmth of her touch. It felt impossibly real, but in that instant I saw it. My own reflection in the dark screen. My eyes hollow, my face wan, as if my life, my very self, had seeped into the image beside me. A final message materialized. "You belong here now." The words glowed like embers, and I understood with a clarity that shattered my world. To give Anna back her existence, I had relinquished my own. The room rippled, the walls bending inward as if drawn toward the screen. I tried to speak, but no voice came. Only a faint, echoing whisper that was neither hers nor mine. The last thing I saw before the glow consumed me was Anna's face, radiant and whole, smiling with the innocence I had long thought lost. And then I was the blur in the corner of the frame, a ghost in my own life.